Andrew, what would you consider to be an honest challenge with respect to keeping a country safe from terrorism, particularly Canada, and what do you think we need to be doing going forward? And I think we'll also say domestic terrorism, because that's been all of the focus as of late.
Yeah, it is a big challenge, and I'd say that we live in an overall very safe country, and I don't think it's important for people to know it's not because there aren't challenges, but because there are people who are working very hard to keep it so. And so it's acknowledging that we do have issues, and as we are seeing, and I'm not saying that's terrorism or not, but that there are security concerns, and we have a national security, law enforcement that get up every day to do their best to make sure that those don't become bigger issues. So I think there's a general awareness. Sometimes we can get a little complacent, the public can, to think, oh, things can't happen here and we're okay.
Yeah.
But no, we need to still stay vigilant, work with our intelligence services, support them to make sure that we are safe and we stay that way. So that's, I think, number one. We have that kind of challenge is.
Yeah, and it's not just, when we think of terrorism, of course, people immediately think to 9/11 and events like that, but there's also domestic, homegrown terrorism.
Well, absolutely. Well, I think even about the span of my career. When I signed up, I was living in London, working in finance at the time, and we had the London bombing attacks of 2005. And at that time, post 9/11, 2005, in Toronto, we had the Toronto 18. That were going to blow up things domestically. That was a big concern. We've had challenges here domestically that we have had to thwart, and we're seeing a bit of a change into what the issues are that galvanize people around those grievances. And it's right-wing extremism. That kind of is that the current challenge? Absolutely, we're seeing that challenge here. We have kind of all the old hits as well, and something we need to be conscious of and not take our eye off the ball.
Left-wing extremism as well. I think there's all sorts of extremism, and it would probably propose a lot of challenges because, again, you have folks that are also coming across borders. Here in Canada, you might have people coming from the U.S. and vice versa.
Well, that was, I was saying from 2006, where domestic extremism, we were worried about attacks in Canadian soil. When Iraq and Syria started to destabilize, and later on in the decade, and we saw this challenge of foreign fighters, people who were traveling abroad to get engaged in conflicts overseas. Canadians who were going and causing some damage overseas, and that was a big concern to our domestic intelligence service. So they would go and cause problems, but also come back trained, with contacts and do things here. And so I think we're seeing that still with the left and the right, which is, are people traveling to get engaged in foreign conflicts? Are they bringing that back? Are people coming to engage in our foreign conflicts? Is that a concern? Something we absolutely have to keep our eyes on going forward and be very aware of what those threats are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think right now we are in this hyper-partisan political world where politics has become very divisive. And I think it's actually charging people and fueling them to engage in more extremism. Would you say that politics has sort of fueled some of that as of recent?
Well, there's I think I don't want to get too far into the politics of responsibility, but I think that what's changed a great deal is the explosion of social media from my time there to what we're seeing online now. And whether that is our own politics or foreign interference that we are seeing as well, and just the hyper-partisan nature and of what we're able to see and what people are able to kind of self-radicalize with almost,
yeah.
Right? And whether that is, where that's coming from, who's fueling that, and people digging in. I think that creates a challenge. Absolutely, as far as
we've seen that in the 2016 election in the U.S.
Yeah, that's it's been established that foreign interference is happening. CSIS has noted this in their public reports that's a concern for them and something they keep close eyes on, and something in this current protest of how much is foreign interference, what is foreign interference doing, and something that they would absolutely monitor as part of their mandate. So. Yeah, borders are porous in themselves, but online, I mean, that's
and you need the support of social media companies.
Absolutely, it's a huge problem, or I'd say the huge challenge to deal with. is this flood of information. What's real? What's being shared? How are people, reacting to that? And how is that fueling any kind of out there ideology, possible outcomes from that?